Do you feel you are in charge of your sleep? Because that's what we're going to talk about. Abusees, good evening. It is 6 a.m. where I'm at, so I hope you're having a good evening where you're at in the world, and that life is treating you well, and that the day ahead of you tomorrow will be a good one, but that you're headed for a good night of sleep. Completely on topic. We're going to talk about today's training. We're going to talk about how we can connect with other people, and we're going to talk about making one small change related to our sleep. And I have a new coffee contraption that I'm going to be making coffee with. And we'll talk a bit more about that in a moment, but this is actually an easy one to work with and to make coffee with. Filtered coffee in the morning. Do you use coffee as pre-workout? No, I'm actually just done with my morning routine and morning workout. So I actually have finished my workout this morning, and I'm going to tell you what I did. I did mobility. I did a mobility session today because yesterday I did body weight and kettlebell, light, and then with that body weight and kettlebell, I went out and did some sprints, which was great. I think it was quite a good experience actually to be outdoors early morning and to do 15 minutes of hill sprints, 30 seconds of running, 90 seconds of recovering. Today I'm doing a recovery day, so I'm actually doing mobility, and I'm going to go out for about a 45-minute walk in a little bit to start the day. I'm really looking forward to that, actually. I think that there is a lot of benefit to be had from being outdoors and walking and doing that low intensity steady state. So no, I don't really use any pre-workout in general, actually. But I know people that do and that say it works well for them. So I guess there are reasons to believe that it does work. I don't find the need for it. I actually enjoy just waking up on my own time and doing the work that I can do without taking anything beforehand. If you're new to this channel, I am 41 years old and I'm training to live an active, self-sufficient and adventurous life. I do so by minding my sleep, minding what I eat, investing in an active lifestyle, moving sufficiently, both through daily activity and through training, investing in the relationships and friendships and the communities that I am a part of, and by having pursuits or hobbies, you would call them maybe, that allow me to master and learn new things and new skills for life. Generally, I like to do things that I enjoy, and I try to live a relatively stress-free life. So those are things that you're interested in, and how I'm trying to stay fit and healthy at 40. Go ahead, check out my channel, subscribe maybe, and we can continue the conversation. The topic I want to talk to you about today in depth is connection, because I think that there are some things that we need to reconsider. Coffee's done, by the way. Look here. You simply pour the coffee and the water through the filter. That's what you end up with, and you end up with a really tasty, nice, liquid brown cup of coffee. The reason I'm switching to filtered coffee from the mocha and other coffees is because I drink quite a bit of coffee throughout the day, and I've understood that even though it's a slight dose, there is a risk of increasing my levels of cholesterol if I continue to drink the amounts of coffee that I do from the unfiltered versions. So I'm adding one filtered version of coffee every day, first thing in the morning, and replacing one or two of the other cups that I drink throughout the day with filtered versions of coffee. Still get caffeine, but less of the cholesterol. Anyway, that's an aside because we wanted to talk about connecting. And connecting, to me, is important for different reasons, and it always has been. I actually have made a point out of investing in my friendships and relationships consciously from when I was around 19 or 20, because I realized I was actually lonely. There were people I cared about that I wasn't in touch with enough, that I really wanted to be and stay in touch with. So how was I going to manage that? So for 21 years I've been cultivating relationships and friendships relatively actively, and I can tell you that that has paid off in many different ways, but in general it has actually just been a net positive for my life. There's that glass of water that we want to drink every day. Your page. Veggie dolls, vegan dolls, thanks for dropping by, saying hi. Yeah, I'm generally pretty chill, although you only get to see me on the live stream, and I think this is also my camera personality. I get agitated, irritated, excited, on fire, and all of the other emotions throughout the day. Don't worry, I am a normal human being. Despite having probably 3 to 5 cups of coffee in a day, but I stop having coffee latest 3 p.m. Usually 2 p.m. I have my last cup of coffee, and that's it for the day. So connecting with people. Actually, a news article was published yesterday. I bookmarked it in the Netherlands, and I think it's already been a bigger topic elsewhere in the world, in different places. But we see that men are struggling, men are lonely, men are suffering from depression, men have more trouble connecting and finding friendships through life. And since relationships and connections are so important for our health and longevity, it is worth stopping and spending time on this topic. So I think for the podcast, by the way, what I'll be doing is, like, Monday I'll talk about sleep, Tuesday I'll talk about nutrition, Wednesday I'll talk about movement, Thursday I'll talk about connection, and Fridays I'll talk about hobbies and pursuits. That way we'll have a week-round schedule of topics that we can touch upon. So that's why today we're talking about connection. And glad that we like the topic, abuses, and definitely time for a shot of coffee. Drink water with high pH. Doesn't matter for you. BC, that's a great question. I drink tap water. I think the tap water in the Netherlands is okay. I am looking to install filters and stuff already at the source where it comes into the house. But the general concern about water, in at least where I'm at, I'm not too worried about it. The quality is really good. I'm more worried about water that comes from plastic bottles, for example, than I am from water that comes out of my tap. Vegan dolls. I think I've done the exact opposite with friendships. I can't seem to keep them. I'm sorry to hear that, but I think there's always opportunity to make and keep friends, or to reconnect with old friends, given time and energy invested. So why is this so important? Well, like I said, there seems to be a problem that we are generally not undescribing, and I'm focusing on men because I'm a man. I can't speak to women from lived experience, but what I see and hear is that for boys and men, they are retreating into the digital world. They are focused on their family and their responsibilities, and even outdoors in the gym. I was on holidays for 2 weeks. And there were a lot of guys coming into the gym, on their own working out. It's funny, women sometimes come in pairs and friends, chatting, talking. Guys are just there doing their workout, headphones on, phone in hand, and then they leave. And, you kind of look at each other, say hi, and that's it. Whereas I think there could have been nice conversations about health and fitness, or the location where we were at, the resort we were in, just to establish that sense of connection. Because a couple of times I did walk up to someone and I just said, hey, I've seen you in here. A couple of times I was there for 2 weeks, right? I just want to say, great on the consistency, keep showing up and doing the work. I didn't give them a QR code to my channel, maybe I should have. But you see someone light up, when that connection is made. It's like, yeah, thanks. Thanks, seeing you in here as well. Great workout, good. And you also see these people around the resort later, and there's always this kind of wave or head nod like acknowledgement that we've seen each other at the gym. But it's very strange that there's no culture of conversation and talking. Not that I think we should be in the gym to connect and talk, but there seems to be a barrier to that, right? So when I then read an article about that men specifically, people as they age are struggling to build and maintain these relationships and friendships, I can see why that might be the case from the experience I have. And I think it's important for us to acknowledge that, and then to also take a look at our own lives, and to look at the things that we can do in our lives with the people we actually want to be connected with. Now there's one, hey Mel B, thanks for dropping by, saying hi. I hope you're doing well where you're at in the world. I hope those kettlebells are treating you well, and that you're treating the kettlebells well, and that you're getting the benefits out of the training that you set out to do. And I appreciate you dropping by and saying hello. I already did my training stream, which I stopped, and I now do 2 streams in the morning. One training, which is also a landscape video nowadays, and then I stand in my kitchen and chat about health and fitness on a vertical stream. Either or, if you're looking for the workout, it's a different video on my channel, just so you know. What are things that we can do to build and maintain these connections, and why is that important? Well, it is important for different reasons, but let me name 3. First of all, it is nice to feel a part of a group as a human being, all right? We all want to be the strong, silent type that can do it all alone, but actually it is nice to feel welcome and to feel appreciated and accepted in the context of a group. This gives us a sense of purpose and belonging, and it gives us a sense of safety, all right? So just from that pure perspective, it is important to cultivate a group of people that we can be a part of, and we will go through to extreme lengths actually to fit into a group. I don't think that's always healthy, but I think it shows how important we find the need to belong to a group for our personal health and well-being. Let's see, Mel B, do I agree with fasting? I'm not a nutrition expert, but I'm reading and hearing good things about it. I'm actually going to do a thing called the fasting mimicking diet from Dr. Walter Longo, to give that a try. And I think, there's no harm in it as far as I can tell. I think the general health benefits for health and fitness are somewhat overstated and not well understood. So there are a lot of claims on social media about fasting that I would be skeptical about based on what I've learned and what I know and what I'm exploring. But I mean, as always, health and fitness is very personal. So if it works for you, something to work on, right? Patrick Mann. Neither. This is just a dude in the kitchen talking about life. If you're interested in my workouts, I have other streams and videos on my channel when I stand in the kitchen with a cup of coffee that I've just made. We talk about health and fitness and different topics related to longevity, and today we're talking about the importance of connection for long-term health and fitness, if that makes sense. And I appreciate you dropping by and saying hi and asking the question. Please continue and feel free to ask any questions. Thanks, Mel B. Who lives? Right, and I think, and thanks for sharing that, Vegan Dolls. I think that we have different reasons to want to be connected, right? One is that it's just good for us. Two is that having friends, communities that we're part of actively, is good for us to balance our outlook on life and ideas on. So by talking to people, everyone, or a lot of people are in therapy or have a therapist to talk to. We're actually paying someone for a conversation. When we have friends or communities that we're a part of, so communities are usually organized around topics of interest. So we all in the street have an interest in how well our street is doing. That's a community. But the parents at my children's school are all part of the community because we're all vested interest in how our children are doing in school and developing both socially and academically, right? But we could also do that around sports or around another interest or hobby. But being able to talk to people about things that are going on in life helps shape our perspective, gets new insights, broaden our horizons, and actually diverse and different perspectives is probably a good thing because it takes us out of our bubble and box and allows us to explore and experience different ideas through the lens of other people that they might cast on the same problem. And third of all, it makes us more resilient. There have been times in my life where I've been down and out, where I've lost everything or where I've been in trouble or where I've needed help and support. And there have always been about 5 or 8 people that I have been able to fall back on for the last 20 years, okay? And the reason that that's in place is because I've invested time and energy in those friendships, but they have also invested time and energy in those friendships and relationships because it's an up and down. And I think that those three elements are important for us to understand and realize when it comes to our health, fitness, and longevity, is that it is not about how fast we can run or how heavy we can lift or how little we can eat to manage our body weight and keep that at a healthy weight, or how well we can sleep. Those are all I things, but we also need to recognize that we are part of a society, of a community that we want to participate in and contribute to, and actually a sense of purpose and belonging and utility are also derived from actively engaging and participating in those different communities and connections. And you see this online where people fall into different kind of streams and groups and become very vocal and active about that. And that is great from an online perspective. That can be kind of like a vent for people. But in doing so, we forget that there is a reason that we are concerned, or that we see concern about the diminishing ability to communicate properly in younger generations because of the way they are living their lives in these digital boxes, right? Because communication and the ability to connect with someone face to face is actually very important for our health and well-being. Let's see. that you make good money. I do all right. I think someone accused me recently of being rich on the stream. And I had to explain that I live in a very average home, have a slightly more than average income because of the work that I do, and I do fine with the family. We do all right, but that's also because of the good work-life balance that we have in the Netherlands and the way this country works in terms of taxation and social security and government functioning, which all seems to be working pretty well from my perspective. So I do all right. But please don't mistake me for being some rich dude with a with a huge mansion. I mean, I do my workout over there in the kitchen, and then I stream from here in the kitchen where we make breakfast. Okay. Yeah, Netherlands, Amsterdam. So looking at the connections that we have, all right, it is an integral part when we talk about health, fitness, longevity specifically, that we are trying to find out how we can make friends and make friendships last. And friendships are give and take. It's nice to meet people that we share a connection with around specific topics, like a community around board games or hobbies or sports. Those don't necessarily need to become our friends, but they could become acquaintances and part of our social circle, right? So it's important to keep that in mind. But it's a good place to start to meet people who might become friends. And there's always a reason to talk, because we're there to talk about a topic and not about personal stuff, all right? So looking for venues and places or activities around interests we have in the physical world, which is, I think, why these conventions around different topics are such big hits, because people can go there and spend time with people that are like-minded or interested in the same thing, and you can always have interesting conversations about the same things, right? Then there is the investments we need to make in those relationships, and that requires us checking in with people and people checking in with us. This doesn't have to feel like a must, but I think it's important to, you know, have moments where you see each other, to reach out, to talk, to share experiences. Usually birthdays are a good time, visiting over and again for birthdays, but also just scheduling a dinner or a walk or a coffee or a game night where we meet and get together with the purpose to have fun and spend time together. And this means we're spending time away from the digital world. We're spending time away from things that we, quote unquote, enjoy doing. But believe me, there's not a lot of fulfillment and purpose to be had in scrolling through feeds. There is purpose and fulfillment to be had in contributing to a social event with a couple of people that we actually care about. Okay, just keep that in mind. Health, fitness, and longevity is not just about how much we move, how well we sleep, how well we eat, but it is also about the things that we do to develop mastery and skills, to broaden our abilities to learn new things, and it's about the connections we make and the shared experiences that we create. All right, one small change we can make. I know you're all drinking your glass of water, taking the stairs, eating some tomatoes or snack cucumbers before lunch or dinner. And I think now it's time for us to consider setting a steady wake-up time for the coming 7 days, because I think we underestimate the severe impact of sleep or lack of sleep and that might have on our general health and fitness. And I think when we set a wake-up time and we strive to wake up at that specific time, it is easier for us to calculate back what time we think we need to be in bed then. So that is a small change for you to consider and ponder today, throughout the day. What time do I want to wake up, and what is the 7 to 9 hour window between that wake up time and the time that I maybe need to be going to bed? And try to stick to that wake up time for about 7 days and see how that affects your schedule. You have a plus or minus of 30 minutes on that wake up time. That's not really an issue. A lot more variation or deviation might become problematic, but that is a crucial step in actually starting to master our sleep as one of the big 5 topics for health and fitness and longevity. Patrick, thanks for the compliment. I appreciate that, and I appreciate you dropping by and being interested in the chat. High Energy Ape, thanks for dropping by from LA. I hope you're doing well. Abuses, Vegan Dolls, BC, Melby. Also, I appreciate you all dropping by, and thanks for having the conversation with me this morning. I'm going to wrap up and go for my walk. It's been a great talk. Remember that we're good just the way we are. We've got to love ourselves before we can move on. If you want to help out the stream and the channel, go ahead and share the video with someone, share the podcast link with people. Maybe it's a bit more accessible than the workout videos. Let them know why you're interested in it. Leave a comment under the videos to help show the algorithm that it is actually something that you're interested in. The chat is one thing, the comments under the videos are another. And help me grow this channel. It would be great by the end of the year if we can reach 2,000 subscribers. I'm going to switch to Dutch for 2 seconds. Dank je, Patrick. Niet hardlopen, gewoon wandelen. Low intensity, steady state. Simple walking. Because I did sprints yesterday and I do a more intense run on Sunday mornings. But that's it for today, friends. And remember, the only way to get anything done is by showing up and doing the work. So I'll see you tomorrow. And don't forget to subscribe.